Frack on. Welcome to the episode of Frack the Canon. I am joined by the coolest mother frackers around. Sarah, how are you?
I'm
Episode
wonderful.
Did you like the first episode? Having fun in the first episode?
Yeah, that's fun.
Good. Glad. Renee,
Hi.
Mr. CJ McCree with the goals with the most.
Yo.
So we're gonna talk about Black Panther 2, Electric Boogaloo. Sorry, Wakanda Forever.
No, we have to do this.
I said Wakanda Forever. I didn't say. I'll get to that later.
Okay.
I'll get to that in a minute. Oh my god, I think it's my favorite Marvel movie to date. Out of all the Marvel movies, including the X-Men and Spider-Man, I think this is it. Even though I'm an X-Men fan, Spider-Man, Daredevil fan, I think this was the one I had the most fun. It's almost a perfect movie in my opinion. Almost perfect. I do have some issues. But we'll talk about this first. Sarah, let's start with you. What did you think? What were your thoughts?
So I saw it twice. So the first time I saw it, I did the double feature where I saw Black Panther and then watched Wakanda Forever immediately afterwards. I cried like a baby. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then when I went, when I left it, I wasn't sure. I thought it was a great movie, but I wasn't sure if I would go back and watch it the way that I do Black Panther. Like I still watch Black Panther like on a weekly basis. But when I went and saw it again, I was able to tune a little bit more into a lot of the comedy, a lot of the really great, wonderful moments. I think the first time I saw it, I was very focused in on the grief aspect of it. But the second time I was able to really get into a lot of the characters and I thought it was fantastic.
All right, Renee?
I really enjoyed it. It was very artfully done. And yeah, I was caught up with the grief of it because I have been recently going through grief myself. And I had my mom with me. So we were both sobbing like babies. So like anytime they were like making a reference to Chadwick Boseman and his character, we were just like, but yeah, it was artfully done. A lot of comedy, action. Like it was almost a perfect blend of every element of this film. Like I just really enjoyed it overall.
CJ?
I think this is a great movie. And I've said to other people, like, I think they knocked it out of the park. But when I say that, like, I don't necessarily mean that the movie is like A plus A1. I mean, like, with the circumstances that they were under with having to make this movie and the pressure that they were under with having to make this movie a success, I think they knocked that out of the park. I don't think the movie is A plus A1 perfect, but I think the flaws in it are magnified. It's such a good movie. The flaws in it are like really just kind of nitpicks. But it's like, if you notice the flaws, you might think that they are bigger than they are. And you think that because the movie around these flaws is so good. It's a powerful movie. It's a moving movie. And it's just a good movie. And it's a better movie than it's a better movie in a vacuum, I think. Like it's a better movie than it is a sequel to Black Panther. And it's a better movie than the ending of like Phase 4 to Marvel. It's like, it works really well by itself, I think. And it works, I think unlike most Marvel movies, I think it works better by itself than connected to everything else. I think a lot of Marvel movies like rely on that connection. This movie is very standalone and it's just like good. I think like 10 years from now, you'll be able to look back at this movie and it will be just as good. Without even watching anything else, you just watch it and it'll be just as good as anything else, which is something that, like, my favorite Marvel movie is or MCU Marvel movie is Infinity War right now. But I think like 10 years from now on the rewatch, I will still enjoy it just as much. But I don't think like the general public can look at it back. It will be able to look back at it as fondly unless they watch like all 20 freaking Marvel movies or whatever, you know what I mean? Like before that, and then like grasp it. But this, I do think you can just watch this and like just recognize the power that it has. You know what I mean? How good it is.
I agree. I remember watching Black Panther. I'm like, okay, I like it. I get it. I get why people were moved by it, people why I loved it. Obviously I'm not black, so I'm like, it definitely spoke to black people a lot more than to me being Mexican American. So when I saw Black Panther 3, I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like Namor, really? That's what we're seeing? Then I see who Namor is. I'm like, he is this Mesoamerican Mayan god. Dude, I'm like, oh my God. And he's speaking Mayan. So when he's speaking Mayan, like, I'm like, and then they said, you could take Mayan. I'm like, that's where my family's from. They're speaking my people's Mayan. So that's when I personally, I clicked in. So the first time I saw it, I was like, just like out of, like you said, CJ, I was high off of the movie. I'm like, what did I just watch? What did I just see? Because the first time I'm like, I was just so high off of that Namor and Talocan that I'm like, dude, what am I? It was so confusing. I'm like, I forgot that Namor was the nemesis. The Namor was the bad guy. Because when he floats Wakanda, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, oh yeah, you're the bad guy. I'm sorry, I forgot. So I just remember being like, so the second viewing, because I saw it like back to back. I saw it Thursday and then I saw it Saturday. Because I was just fresh. I'm like, dude, I love this movie. Second viewing, I'm okay, cool. I was not as high, but still, I'm like, I still was in that zone, if that makes sense. What I really liked about it was Shuri. Like, I just realized how it really is about Shuri. It really is Shuri's movie, and it really is about her grief about it, and how Namor fed into that, and how Namor was like, join me, and he poked at her, and he got her to that point. So I got to be her right now, but at the end she held back. I'm like, that's okay. This is dope. This is pretty cool, and that's why I think it's my favorite Marvel movie to this day, because I'm like, Namor, the Namor and Talocan people, and that moment. I'm like, okay, this is pretty freaking dope.
Well, let's focus in on some of the stuff you're talking about, right? Like Namor. Let's talk about Namor. I thought that Namor was a very effective villain. I thought that the actor behind him did an incredible job with him. Like when he just like leans up to frickin'. Now, listen. First of all, if you're acting opposite Angela Bassett,
who is a queen in
and
real life,
I'm giving you praise for your acting, right? You know what I mean? You're doing something right, because first of all, she knocked it out of the park in this movie, but and she had like 6 lines, you know what I mean? No, but like, but he's like leaning up next to her and just like telling her like, look, if you do this, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kill you and freaking, you know what I mean, and bring my army, and you can't handle me, kind of a thing. Like, I was like, this dude is awesome. You know what I mean? I love, like you guys, I love good villains, you know what I mean? And like, he was killing it, dude. He was killing it in this movie.
Oh my God, like that scene. So talk about Angela Bassett, dude. Like that scene where she goes, "Have I not given it all, dude?" I was like, dude, I'm literally crying. Tears down my face because I'm like, dude, oh my God, I bought it. I'm like, believe it.
She needs an Oscar for that.
Like, Renee,
100%. She needs an Oscar.
she needs all the Oscars.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's the go-to black woman for Marvel or DC too, because she was in Green Lantern. She's in, what else was she?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I forgot Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett killed it in that too, but I love the performance a lot more in this one, just because.
She was so much better in this one than the first one.
Yeah, dude, I think I definitely will say, I feel personally, and I'm pretty sure it has to do with Namor and Talocan, that I enjoyed this one a lot more than the first one, personally. Like, I came out of the theater doing this "Lick it, Talocan," which for me, when this, I'm like, are they doing Power Rangers? Are they doing like morphing time?
Oh yeah, it's morphing time.
I thought too.
And I love that.
But hey, that works for both of us.
I love that so much, because when I came out of Black Panther the first time and we got the Wakanda salute, all I could see in my head was little kids, not just little Black kids, but little kids saluting each other. And I love that now you have this symbol, for other little brown kids. And I just think that's so cool. And I guess my question is, so in the way that like Killmonger wasn't necessarily a villain, he was an anti-hero, do we think that Namor is a villain, or is he an anti-hero?
I would say anti-hero. I would say anti-hero. I don't know how everyone else sees him. What do you guys say?
I would agree with that, with the anti-hero. I was a little peeved that they made the Mexican tribe the villains of this, but once it all came together, I was okay with it. But I agree. I would say he's anti-hero.
I would say the same. I thought that was just, I mean, like my favorite moment, I think, of the entire, and we can talk about my love for M'Baku later, but was that moment when he connects. He's like, who is this fish man who just punched me? He's not a man, he's a god.
Oh my
and
God.
it gave so much beautiful context. Like, I think that was the moment for me where it switched from like, who is this evil man, to like, this is a man or god or whatever he is, who is so dedicated and loving to his people, and they love him back. And like that, I think, because I was a little bothered too by the whole, what's with all the black and brown fighting? Why do they have to be against each other? Can we just go like fight the colonizers yet? But I think that beautiful piece of it was that little moment was like, no, he's a god. And the way he speaks to people and he calls them my child, and he's so one-to-one with these people, I just thought was so beautiful. It was such a good, like, you can see the dedication when they go to fight, they're here and they're ready. And like, I mean, to go on a totally slightly different tangent, I think Avatar is gonna have a really difficult time with their little water moment, because they just did this so well in Wakanda Forever. We got cool underwater people. We don't need any more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They did a lot better than Aquaman.
Oh my. I love Jason Momoa. I love Jason Momoa, but I'm like, oh my God, dude, no, this is. I just love that moment too of like going back to like when Namor shows Shuri how two moments like that when he shows Shuri like, this is what I'm protecting. Do you see? I'm like you. I like you. I'm protecting my people. Like, join me, and that's why I like he didn't force her like, join me, you're dead. He was on her level.
Yeah.
Like, he was using everything to be like. That's why I don't see him as a villain. That's why I see him as an anti-hero. Because the comic book Namor, I'm like, dude, you're trying to get with Sue Storm and trying to do the horizontal dance. You know what I mean? Like, this one, I'm like, dude, like, I'm protecting my people. Like, I can't let you be doing this. Give me the side. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I was blown away, like a takeoff on what Renee was saying earlier. Like I was kind of blown away. Cameo. I was kind of blown away by we had already seen, we had already gotten Aquaman, right? Like we had already gotten Atlantis, you know what I mean, an underwater kingdom, like in the Aquaman movie. I mean, so I was blown away how different they did it and how good they did it, like on a completely different level. And it was almost the complete opposite stylistically from what we got from Aquaman, you know what I mean? Like it was like, here's like a hyper realistic looking take on what like an underwater kingdom would look like, and it looked awesome and it was great, and you could feel the culture in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I brought my people the sun. He's just so good.
Gave me the vapors.
Right? He's just so good.
There was something about that we're talking about CJ and offline, and I didn't think about it till you said it. CJ said it, was that the flaws were his reasoning for getting Riri Williams.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm like, so do you want me to say it, CJ, or do you want to say it?
Yeah, so what I was talking about with my initial thoughts on like the flaws are few, but because they're very few, like to me, like they stand out more. But I think it's just a testament to how good the movie actually is. Like, and the flaws are like very just nitpicky things. But that's one of the things that I was saying, and I was like, you know what, like their whole, I mean, she was just a MacGuffin, Riri Williams, you know what I mean, a reason to kind of further the plot.
Introduce the character.
Right, you know what I mean? But I was like, well, you know what? The reasoning for him trying to hunt her was a bit light, for, you know what I mean? Like, because it's like, oh, I gotta kill her because she made this machine. But like, she wasn't even in possession of the machine. The machine, and she made it from like junkyard parts. So like, you mean to tell me they couldn't reverse engineer that? You know what I mean? Like, so if you kill her, gonna take them being able to make this machine away? Like, nah. Like there's no way they don't know how to make that machine again, you know what I mean? Like, but whatever, it's not one of those kind of movies. So
So you want to talk about M'Baku?
He walked in with that carrot, and just that man's comedic timing is out of this world. Because we saw, like, the best one, you saw it in the first one. You saw it in the first one when he's like, "You do not speak.
You cannot talk. One more word, and I will feed you to my children." I'm kidding, we are vegetarians.
He walks in with this carrot. And from an actor's perspective, like, my background is in acting. And he did so much with such a simple little moment. And he just was such a great presence through the whole film. I talked to a friend of mine about, the debate about, do they recast Black Panther? Do we go the direction that they took? What can you do? And I think he filled a void in a way that was really, really beautiful. I was team don't recast Black Panther. I'm team the character dies with Chadwick, me personally. But I think we still got a lot of that really beautiful, tender masculinity, along with some really great comedic moments. And they gave him a lot of great character stuff. And I just thought he was fantastic through the entire, up until that last moment. I'm here to challenge. The Black Panther is indisposed. I'm here in my little skirt. I'm ready. Like, I love him. I thought he was just beautiful through the entire thing. It provided a lot of wonderful levity to a really, really heavy story and really heavy subject matter.
So talking about that, I was talking to CJ about this too. We talk a lot offline. If you didn't know, do you guys feel it would have been the same story if Chadwick was alive? Because I'm like, on the second viewing, I'm gonna go watch it again, probably to Monday or Tuesday after work, just because I need to see it one more time in theaters. I was watching. I'm like, I wonder if this scene would have been the same if he was still alive. And the scene I'm talking about is when they're at the UN, and they're accusing Wakanda of like hoarding or whatever. I'm like, well, no, here you go. Here's your that felt like that was a scene with Chadwick still alive. If Chadwick would have still been alive, they would have kept that scene with him. If that makes sense. Like, what do you think was changed besides the death of T'Challa and Chadwick?
I mean, I honestly think they had to tell a completely different story because he was not there. I think if he was still alive, this entire movie would have been a completely different film. Because in this film, they had to do so much to get Shuri to the place she needed to be to become the Black Panther, which is kind of what we were seeing. Versus if we already had our Black Panther, I just think it would have been a totally different. I don't think they would have gone with this plot. I think it would have been different. I mean, Namor probably still would have been there, but I think it just would have been a totally different film.
Because I did notice that too, that I'm like, when they do a flashback to the Spanish colonizers, the first thing that came, I'm like, dude, this guy has white people more than I do. But I'm like, because they're like, okay, here's the refresh of like, Frack, I already said it, Frack the colonizers, like, here we go, like, I hate them. And I can feel that from the filmmaking point of view, the behind the scenes, like, CJ now went to film school, we're writers, directors, what have you, take a shot. So I'm like, that's when I'm like, for me personally, I'm like, I'm out of the movie, but I'm like, oh, this is Ryan Coogler, the writer-director, being like, Frack Whitey. Although I do love that scene though. You're the Niño sin amor. That's my name now. I thought that was so cool. Sorry. I thought that
was fantastic.
That was so badass. That's so metal.
I lived for the 2 times that Dora came out of a goddamn closet though, because that was just everything. The first time when the French people were there, they walked out of the thing and I was like, oh, the Dora are here. And then Okoye came out of the thing with Riri and I was like, oh, I love her. I can't wait for the show with them. I'm so excited.
So the show, like, they're doing a show, huh? I forgot about that.
I believe they are. Yeah, that's last I knew.
Midnight Angel, or what was it called?
Yeah, they called it a Midnight Angel.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Dora Milaje.
The Dora Milaje are supposed to get a show, I believe. Last I heard, but I don't.
That sounds about right.
Again, nerd proxy.
The quote Tyler, are you sure you're not a nerd?
There's a couple things I nerd out on: Grey's Anatomy, Marvel movies, and probably Wednesday Addams. I don't know.
Oh, we'll find
The
more
Addams
stuff.
Family.
Hey, I did a show about Selling Sunset with two other girls that I was just like, this is so not the show, but I love this show. We need to nerd out about it. Where was I? Yeah, no, I remember thinking just like, okay, that scene with Angela Bassett in the UN, that was her. I felt she would have died in this movie the same way. Yeah, let's talk about freaking. Okay, so Shuri becoming the Black Panther and see who she saw. I thought that was pretty. I thought that was a stroke of genius. I'm like, that's good writing. That is amazing writing. I'm like, the fact she saw Killmonger.
Expect that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that's relative. That's an ancestor from the ancestral plane. I'm like, that's pretty. I don't know. What do you guys? I loved it. I'm like, yeah, Killmonger, bring him back.
Yeah, I got chills in the theater when that happened. Like, because like, not only is it like you're getting this cameo from like from the first one that everybody would, everybody loved Michael B. Jordan in the first one, and everybody loves Michael B. Jordan, period, right? Like, so not only are you getting him back, but also like the way they wrote that in there, you know what I mean? The way she like was looking for any kind of answer, and like I, the audience member, was like, who is this? Are they gonna like, it's gonna be like a kid T'Challa or something? Who are they? Or is this gonna be a voice? Like, who is this gonna be? And it's like, boom, it's him. Like, in the way, like, he just kind of checks her on that, like, nah, like, freaking, you chose me. I'm here because you pulled me here. You know what I mean? And you pulled me here because when you ate this, you wasn't on seeing your family. You was on vengeance. You know what I mean? Like, and I am vengeance for you, and I can tell you how to, get vengeance. Like, I love that so much. Like, thought that was incredible.
I thought that was cool too. I'm like, oh my god, yes. I just wish he would come back. Stupid, sexy. Killmonger.
I thought the movie just was full of those hits. Like, there were just so many of those moments where you're just like, yes, that one. And then that, like, I think the whole movie just had so many of those beautiful moments where it's like, that was not what I was expecting, and this is so much better than what I thought I wanted.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god, yes. I was like, I said it like multiple times already. I think this is my favorite standalone Marvel movie. Like, and I know I'm not a Black Panther fan. Like, I think CJ and I, we said this offline. I'm like, I like these characters in the movies, like Captain America, whatever. But comic book Captain America, frack him. Like, comic book wise, I'm an X-Men, Daredevil, Spider-Man guy. Like, actually, Wolverine, Daredevil, Spider-Man. Yeah, and Kyle Rayner, right? But I'm like, oh, not that I'm like, I don't give a frack about Captain America, Iron Man. But cinematic, yeah. I'm like, this is pretty dope. I like this a lot. I like fake 616. 616 cinematic, I guess.
Now, I could have done without I can't remember his character's name, but Martin Freeman and Elaine in the movie. I'll say that much.
Yeah, why
would colonizer
added anything to the movie? You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was cool when they broke him out. I was like, yeah, like, because he went to bat for you guys. So like seeing him get broke out at the end, like, and bringing that full circle, like, hey, we take care of our own kind of a thing. I like that aspect of it. Yeah. But other than that, I was like, you know what? You could have just cut this whole interaction out of the movie. It would have been fun.
Yeah. I feel like they had to add his character in to somehow connect the story to what to the later phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like the Thunderbolts, because we saw Val in there, and the big reveal that they were married at one point.
Right.
Ooh.
Right. I didn't get that till the second viewing. I'm like, oh, I did hear it, but yeah. I'm like, why is Elaine here? Ugh, I hate the show.
This lady.
Actually, I don't. I never. I'm not a Seinfeld fan. I see CJ Willis says like I couldn't get to Seinfeld. I love Beep, so I'm like, oh, Madam Vice President. Whatever. I forgot what her name was in the show, but yeah, I was like, I know her. I know she's late, but like, yeah, I'm like, why is Elaine and Watson here? Although that line that did make me laugh so hard was what is I keep forgetting her name.
Like Okoye.
I was gonna call her bald headed demon beast.
She's so funny.
That was so funny. Her facial reaction when she said that was so, oh my god, that was so funny to me. But Okoye, She goes, "Oh, a colonizer in chains. You love to see it." I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. I do know why, but I'm not gonna say it.
Yes, you do. Go for it. You know exactly why, because it makes us all laugh. I've seen everything. Yes, more of it.
I've seen everything now.
I'm excited to see where this goes. Like, this whole movie to me felt like so much exposition, because like I said a little bit before, it felt like without Chadwick, they had so much to cover in even an almost 3-hour movie. But I'm really excited for, like, it felt like a great jumping off point into whatever's coming next for the Wakandans, for Telecon, for all of these people. I thought they set us up really well to launch into whatever comes next, which I think is really exciting. I have a question that my friend brought up recently. We're talking about Wakanda Forever and the whole, because she's on the other camp of they should have recast the Black Panther. She brought up the fact that in the blip, T'Challa was gone. So there was 5 years where Wakanda was left without a Black Panther. What happened there? And why is this time now so different? What like, maybe someone else who, again, more nerdy than I am. What are your theories on this? What happened?
In the movie,
go ahead, CJ.
So in the movie, didn't they say he had died like a year ago?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the blip in between the Avengers movies, that 5-year period where everybody turned to dust and he was gone.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
That's what I. So that was the question that was posed to me the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, who was the Black Panther? What was going on in Wakanda? Since this is such a huge deal in this movie, is this just one of those holes that was just never addressed?"
I thought you were asking if his girlfriend, I don't know her name either too, was faithful. Like she saw someone else.
No. No. We don't go after Lupita, whatever her name is in the.
Yeah. I love Lupita. Lupita was born in Mexico. Lupita Mexican. So no. That's a good question. I don't know. What was there a little that's a that's a great question.
It's just so funny because you get into the movie and they don't even really mention the blip. You almost forget about it.
That is a good point.
You know, like the thing that like dives the most into it is Falcon and Winter Soldier. And like the most that we hear about it is that there was basically like a destabilization of like all world's governments, kind of. They don't dive deeper into it though. You know what I mean? Like obviously, you know what I mean? Like you got a whole universe to balance. So like they don't want to like they don't want to trip themselves up or whatever. But that's like as much as we get, right? Like it's conceivable that like everybody was just kind of screwed.
Like, I'm saying, because I'm like, timeline wise, the blip is after Chadwick comes out and exposes the Wakandans to the world and is like, we exist and we've got all this vibranium, but then he's gone for 5 years. Right. So what happened? That's the question.
They were just fighting off the people trying to steal vibranium. I'm guessing.
Right, because we know he was gone. I don't know who else disappeared. So maybe his mom took over. Maybe that's why they said she's queen again or something like that. Maybe that was what happened there. I just wondered if anyone else who knows a little bit more than I do maybe had some insight.
That is a good point. I have no idea. I didn't even think about that. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm stumped.
I'm just gonna go with it. Angela Bassett was in charge the whole time.
You know, status quo, queen is queen.
Right. I love her so much. Oh She's God. So great.
I love her since Boys in the Hood. So much right now. Final comments, final thoughts.
I'll say like when this movie, like when the original Black Panther came out, it touched me that it was a movie like this that can mean so much to so many people. And so obviously like when a sequel was being talked about, it had a lot of weight on its shoulders, and then Chadwick Boseman died. You know what I mean? Like, and so then it had like way more responsibility. And like Renee was alluding to earlier, me and him talking, like the MCU is filled with like these Marvel characters that aren't, you know, I'll speak for myself, my favorite characters. Black Panther being one of the just characters I never really followed in the comics. But the movies are done so well that I really enjoy them. So like when I heard about Black Panther 2, A, because you know I didn't really care too much about the character, and B, because Chadwick Boseman, I can't even say his name right now, because T'Challa died. I wasn't like super excited about what I could get. You know what I mean? Like, so when I don't know his name, the guy who plays Namor, or I can't pronounce his name, and I'm gonna try. Thank you. When he was on stage at Comic-Con, those same, and he, how much it meant to him to be able to bring this to another group of people. You know what I mean? Like it really like touched my heart. On this way, like the first Black Panther meant so much to so many people, and you mean to tell me that like the second one is going to come out and it's going to do the same thing for an entire group of people? Like, that is awesome. Like, that is actually like really forming for me, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't belong to that group of people, but it touched me in a similar way though, you know what I mean? I'm just like, dude, this movie is like a beacon for like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Just for progress, I guess, you know what I mean? And like a shining example and like all that. I was touched that this sequel to a movie that meant a lot to people underrepresented could come and do the same thing for a completely different group of people who felt the same way. You know what I mean? And I guess that's the last thing I wanted to put into this episode.
Well, you know, people who would represent. So I'm like, I told you, like on TikTok, I was surprised. I thought it was just me, but it's TikTok. Every Hispanic person I've seen is doing they call me Kukulkan, but blah, blah, but I'm like, but it's this to do like yeah, like I told you, my mouth already got away from me. So I'm like, how do you say it again? How do you say? She goes, it's not likin, it's liken. Because my mom like it's pronouncing it, but he goes, it's liken talokan. I'm like, okay. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of this like liken talokan within Hispanics. But I am from that spot. So liken talokan. Wakanda forever. Sarah, Renee, final words.
I'm with CJ and you in terms of not really following the comic book characters, or not a lot of them, because I was more into Spider-Man. But Marvel's cinematic universe, they've made it so accessible. They've made these characters accessible. And I've been enjoying the films since Iron Man. And this movie, what I said earlier, was really well done. Like, it was artfully done.
Sarah?
I think I said a lot of my thoughts, and I agree with CJ. I love seeing, like, I know how much the first Black Panther meant to me as a Black person, as all that was. And I felt the same way about seeing, especially in the hands of someone like Ryan Coogler, who's so good at this stuff, to give this gift to another group of people. Like, that was I was like, ooh, they get a gesture. And it's not like he went in on the colonizers, and I was like, this is not for those ones. This is for the indigenous people. That hit my heart, and it made me so happy. And like, I love that we get to see that on such a huge platform. Like, I'm like, if you've got a microphone that loud, what are you saying? And he's saying everything he should be saying. And I love that so much.
And I love what he's saying in a freaking superhero movie, a Marvel superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yes.
I could go off on like directors bringing their bullshit into Marvel movies, like Sam Raimi. What? I hate him. So mad at him. But there's a way to do it and do it so well. Like, you can bring your own spin, you can bring your own touch, you can bring your own feelings into this universe and this kind of setup that has certain rules that you're supposed to play in. There's a certain way you're supposed to progress in these movies, but there is a way to do it and bring your own part to it and make such a beautiful thing like we just saw, which I think is really fantastic.
I just gotta say, Ligan Talocan, Wakanda Forever. Mark off.